So it seems. Welcome to my studio. Today I wanted to talk to you about a challenge that we had at our forum, Quilting Around the World. The challenge was an ugly fabric challenge. What that meant was each of us that signed up would then choose a fabric from our stash that we thought was ugly. Probably trying to find the ugliest one we had, something that we didn't know what to do with. We didn't even know, for some of us, we didn't even know why we had this fabric in our stash. But then we were given a name of someone and we would send at least half a yard of that fabric to the recipient. The person that then received that fabric had the challenge of creating a quilt using that fabric, trying to take this ugly fabric and turn it into something beautiful. The fabric that I got, I ended up using all of it, but I will see if I can show you what the fabric was. This was basically the fabric. I'm trying to cover some of this up. So this right here was the fabric. That's it. Now, I actually did not think that fabric was ugly. The moment I opened up the package and saw that fabric, I knew exactly what it needed to be. But in order to create the vision that I had to try a new technique called landscape quilting. And I will take a time to go more into what landscape quilting is because I already have plans of making another quilt using the landscaping method. But basically it's taking different fabrics and layering them and creating a scene with your fabrics and then quilting them down. When I saw this fabric, the first thing that came to my mind was the Northern Lights. So I'm going to first show you the quilt in its entirety. Let's see if I can get back. Now you can see it. There it is. The Northern Lights. I am so thrilled with how this quilt came out. It came out just like I was envisioning. So first, let's talk a little bit about this. The top part, I left the fabric whole. I didn't do much to it because it looked exactly like what I wanted it to look. Then when we get into the bottom, into the middle part, we have some landscaping. I just drew up a generic landscape. We've got our mountains, several different mountainscapes, and coming over, then on the side there we've got some trees and some ground, and then in the other corner also a little bit of ground. For the water, I have the same fabric, and what I actually did, let's see, I don't know if you'll be able to even see it, but I took the fabric and I actually cut them into strips. So these are about an inch and a quarter strips, and I cut those and I alter them just a little bit. So I cut them and then shifted each one just slightly and sewed those together to make it give more of a watered ripple look. Because if you look in photos that have the sky and then the water, you can see that the water isn't smooth like what the sky is. There is just that little bit of almost a haze or a little bit of a rippling, even in the stillest of waters. So that's what I did there. And then with this challenge, the quilt needed to be a certain size, and I don't remember offhand what the size was. I think it was 42 by 50. I don't remember exactly, but this main part was not big enough, so I needed to add a border. And I was so intrigued with using my batik fabrics and creating these stars. I saw something similar when I was looking, so I've got this one corner here, and then I did it in the bottom corner on the opposite side. And then my backing was just a fabric that is a modeled, just overall fabric. So this was my ugly fabric challenge quilt, and I was so happy with how it turned out. And I was actually able to get it done in time that I entered it into my local county fair. The fair was actually just this last week. Um, I did run into a few problems with this quilt. The main problem was the inner section here that I quilted ended up rippling when I quilted this border. The border has got a really tight meandering quilting pattern on here, except for the stars. I did an outline of the stars, but because this was such a tight meander quilting, it it caused the inside landscape to kind of buckle and ripple. Um, so I had to wet the quilt a few times, and I stretched it out and let it lay out and dry, and that actually did help quite a bit. There's still a little bit of a ripple in it, but it it doesn't seem to show when the quilt is supported several times. I have a rod that I hung up in my living room for it, and it kind of ripples more so there. But I was able to get it to lie flatter, and I entered this quilt in our county fair. And in my category, which um, my category now has to be in professional because I do sell my quilts. So I was able to win first place in my category at the county fair. So that was pretty exciting to me to get a blue ribbon. Um, and um, they also have a People's Choice Award. Um, every quilt has a number put on it, and people can vote for which one they like the best. I did not win, but you should see some of the quilts that were there. They're fantastic. Some beautiful, beautiful ones. One, the quilt that won was this huge wedding ring quilt, and it was all hand quilted, and it was pretty stunning. Um, but the director of of the department, the textiles department, said that my quilt actually got a lot of votes, so that was kind of exciting to hear that. The thing that I loved the most about doing this ugly fabric challenge was being able to try a new technique and trying out the landscape quilting. I did something very similar in a very small scale. I made a postcard, and it was a mountain landscape. But moving to a larger quilt, it was a lot different because I'm working with larger pieces of fabric and larger design. It was a lot of fun to put this together. I learned a lot of things, and of course, after I finished the quilt, I finally found a book at the library that addressed some of the problems that I ran into, and so I'm hoping to be able to find a copy of the book to be able to keep. The book that really has a lot of great information is called Creative Landscape Quilts, and it's by Mary Henriquez Val. I believe I'm going to put it up a little closer so you can see her name. There we go. I am pretty sure I just butchered the name, but she has got some great step by step projects in here and ways to create a landscape quilt. So I'm excited to try my next one and use the techniques that she's laying out. Because I think then it will make a more finished look and get me exactly the thing that I'm looking for. So I think the next time on that we have an ugly fabric challenge at Quilting Around the World, I think I'm going to be one of the first ones to sign up. That was so much fun to really try to think outside of the box. Part of me feels a little like I might have cheated because I knew exactly what I was going to do with the fabric. But you know what? It was something that was ugly to whoever owned it, and I made it into something that I absolutely love. So that was the challenge, and challenge accepted and succeeded. Thank you for sticking with me as I showed you my landscape quilt. And I hope to do another one in the future and get a little bit more involved and more detailed on exactly how I'm doing it. So I hope you'll stick around and look for that in the future. This is Veronica Johnson with Sew It Seams, quilter at large at Quilting Around the World. Remember, keep stitching.